Hey there everyone, it's GG Sober Son. Just thought I'd take you on a walk with me today. 24-hour-a-day book reading for September the 4th. This is a big concrete wall here. Little birdies. Hope you don't mind walking with me a little bit. Until I find a nice place to sit down where I can see the sunrise. Oh, look at the sun off of those clouds. Well, I'm hoping that these nature videos help you start your day in a serene manner and with a serene mindset. And I know that I believe that having been sent a photograph of this landscape back in the 90s, and focusing on it on a very regular basis and imagining that I was here, I think that helped make it a reality. Of course, it was God's will, but I think that since it was a source of serenity for me, and refuge to just stare at the photo, I think it helped it bring about. Nope, this is September the 3rd. What am I talking about? September the 3rd, AA thought for the day. Offer new prospects friendship and fellowship. Tell them that if they want to get well, you will do anything to help. Burn the idea into the consciousness of new prospects that they can get well, regardless of anyone else. Job or no job, spouse or no spouse, they cannot stop drinking as long as they place dependence on other people ahead of dependence on God. Let no alcoholic say they cannot recover unless they have their family back. This just isn't so. Their recovery is not dependent upon other people. It is dependent on their own relationship to God. Can I recognize all excuses made by a prospect? Yeah, I can definitely recognize them, but bringing it to their attention gently is tough sometimes. I think it depends on the individual. I'm a firm believer that some people need a heavy hand. And if I use the same, but if I use a hammer, if my only tool is a hammer, as they say, everything presents as a nail. And I might use a hammer on somebody who needs to be more finessed, you know. I know that just as the first step says we admitted we were powerless over alcohol and that our lives are unmanageable, rather than you must admit you're powerless over alcohol and that your life is unmanageable. When someone presents a problem or an excuse, that's what we're talking about here. Someone presents an excuse why they can't do this or that, I must weigh that and determine whether it's an excuse or reality. But also, I have to think about where in my life have I used that same excuse, and then just bring it to their attention. Share my experience, and then my strength and hope along with it. They may not be ready to receive it, for sure, but but it's important for me to share my experience, strength, and hope. Now, I've had to have my chain jerked, so to speak, on a number of different occasions. But usually, like the last time it was a guy in my men's group at church, kind of snapped at me because I was whining about something, you know, and it was something that I wasn't ready to do anything about, and I was using excuses for why it's okay for me to hang out with women that don't, you know, that I don't intend to be in a relationship with, and that might just lead me down the wrong path. And I felt like if I just dumped them and stopped hanging out with them, that they might feel like I'm judging them. And I shared that with the group, and this guy says, "Why don't you judge yourself?" And he never, well, I kind of expected him to be that way, but then he seemed to feel really apologetic about it. He was like, "I can't believe I said that," kind of thing, you know. But it actually, I had to laugh. I was like, "Yeah, you're right." And that was a turning point for me. And I was grateful to him for that, for sure. But excuses have to be pointed out, you know. Lame excuses especially. There is a difference between excuses and reasons. It's a fine line, but there is a difference. Meditation for the day. The spiritual life depends upon the unseen. To live the spiritual life, you must believe in the unseen. Try not to lose the consciousness of God's Spirit in you and in others. As a child in its mother's arms, stay sheltered in the understanding and love of God. God will relieve you of the weight of worry and care, misery and depression, want and woe, faintness and heartache, if you will let Him. Lift up your eyes from earth's troubles and view the glory of the unseen God. Each day, try to see more good in people, more of the unseen in the seen. That's a good reminder, for sure. That's a good reminder that when I experience worry, actually in my faith basic text, worry is the number one thing. It seems to be the number one thing that is said not to do, you know. But here's the thing, we can't just shut it off within our own power, because we're fleshly human beings. We have to have, just like our alcoholism, we have to have divine intervention, right? Because worry is like trying to think and prepare for the worst so that we don't get caught off guard. It's like a limbic brain response to any given situation. Like, I've got to think this through, and that's important, I suppose. But thinking it through, processing it, is not the same as worry. Worry is like you're losing sleep, and sometimes we can draw failure to us if we're worried about failure. And I think maybe that's why God said not to avoid worry, But basically he's saying, bring your worry to me so I can relieve you of it. Bring your depression to me so I can relieve you of it. So that's, to me, is the spiritual life. That, to me, is the process of being relieved of the bondage of self. Yes. Prayer for the day. I pray that I may rest and abide in the presence of the unseen God. I pray that I may leave my burdens in His care. That's exactly what I was just saying. We can't relieve ourselves of these things any more than we can relieve ourselves of our alcoholism. So it's best if we're much more productive if we avoid trying to relieve ourselves of these things and be in fellowship with others. The 10th step process says that we continue to watch for selfishness, dishonesty, resentment, or fear, and worry is fear, right? Selfishness, dishonesty, resentment, or fear, or any other intrusive, unproductive thought, right? That takes you off of your daily objective. Ask God at once to remove it. Talk to someone about it. Make amends if necessary. And then we turn our thoughts to someone we can help. If we don't ask God to remove worry, and then we just jump to turning our thoughts to someone we can help, we start worrying about them. Or we go to help them and we become this codependent worrier. Like, I'll tell you what you need to do. I'm really worried about you. Right? We start projecting our worry onto other people. So turn to God first. Ask Him to remove it. Then go through the other processes of talking to somebody about it. Call your sponsor. Call another member, fellow traveler. If they say, sounds like you need to make amends, make amends! That's what the 10th step is all about. Correcting, setting straight things as you go along throughout your day. That's important. It's all about looking up, aiming up, and rising up. Love y'all. Have a great day.